It seems like an early miscarriage, but I wasn't pregnant. The doctor looks at me, and I remember the headmaster's face as I trundle from the furthest corner of the playing field. For a moment, I'm not sure who is speaking to me. Right, well, that is what I believe happened. I reply in memory. It's not, I'm sure of it. There is a long pause, and the silence suggests all sorts. Finally, his nose comes into silhouette, a hooked nose. He is in profile, almost to avoid cornering me. He brushes dust from his desk and rolls his chair across the wooden slats. Well, perhaps I'm wrong. I'm only a doctor after all. I don't mean, is there anything else, Mrs. Graves? One short intake of breath that seems to say, ha, to myself. Of course he would act this way. What an entitled, but my mind drifts, and instead I shake my head timidly. My eyes latch onto the dots on his highly polished shoes, almost like paint splatters. Suddenly he coughs. It's shocking. He rifles through his drawers and retrieves an inhaler. He is seasoned in his approach, and I wonder if I've ever seen such a swift response. I also consider if I've ever witnessed an adult so needing an inhaler. After a moment he half smiles at me. The sun breaks through into the room. Excuse me. He pants, gets up, and goes to the strange Victorian sink that remains in the room like a relic, without even a mirror, let alone a toilet to accompany it into the brave new world. He keeps his back to me, mostly out of necessity. My mother skips into mind, and I hear her sing. The wind through the lemon grove rustles leaves through my hair. He turns. Well, thank you, Mrs. Graves. I stand, but something stops me being able to leave. Suddenly he looks like you, Conrad. There is a crack in his persona, and something close to spring sunlight bursts from him. He is a figure of fire, a beam of light, a single flame in the dark. I swallow. Mrs. Graves? Sorry, you look like the way you're standing there with the light on your face. I thought I saw. I'm sorry. Well, I am sorry for your loss. My loss? Yes, your loss. I shake my head, denial suddenly like hot caramel and thickening. There is some literature, including numbers one can call to talk. At first I do not understand. Oh, well, I trail off. I'm already talking. He raises his eyebrows and cocks his head, takes a sip of water as he grips the sink with the other hand. Is everything okay, Mrs. Graves? You seem angry. Sorry? You asked me in a way that seemed angry, as though you might blow up, shout. Excuse me. Are you angry? Are you an angry man? I'm sorry, Mrs. Graves. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry that you're here alone. That this must be a difficult. I am exceedingly sorry. I retreat. He is a fish out of water, flapping this way and that, searching for the puddle, the lake, the river, and one day the sea will welcome him home. Are you married? I'm sorry? Married? Yes. Well, separated. Affair? I'm sorry? Did your wife have an affair? Not that I know about. Kids? 6. 6? Yes. We always wanted a large family. I'm sorry, Mrs. Graves. I have other patients. I shake and nod my head, as is currently customary. A miscarriage. That's my professional opinion, yes. Right. That's just quite strange, you see. Oh? My husband and I, we haven't, and we lost our second baby. I am sorry. There was an anomaly. So the doctors, your colleagues, told us. I see. Well, I am terribly sorry. There were complications, though. I was told it was unlikely I would conceive. Yes, well, that's common. So it's impossible. It's not impossible. We're not talking about miracles or anything here. I'm sorry. That sounded condescending. I apologize. Forgive me. It's just our time is up, has been up for, well, 5 minutes, of course. Well, thank you, Doctor. I reach the door. Mrs. Graves? I turn. My wife loves your work. She finds it, well, reassuring. You probably understand her better than I do. Well, what it is. Thank you. My brows and cheeks tighten around my eyes, squinting as though looking through a thick mist. I smile, but it's more of a grimace. Lemons melt into the soil, spheres sing, time stands still. I bite down on my lip and I leave, managing only. Yes.